There we go. Welcome one and all to the LowLandLions Weekly, show number 2. So you're still here early. This is just our second show. I am your host, Martijn, aka Mumbles. And today we'll bring you guys a show match between the Belgium Overmind, Zion, who has of course performed quite well in recent UK tournaments, and the Dutch Terran Terror, Servant, from Serious Gaming. So, of course, he made a huge mark on DreamHack by besting both Moro and Show in that. Following, we will have a Unit of the Week discussion, namely on the Mutalisk this time around, and we'll ask two of these pros their thoughts on how they affect the mid and late game ZVT matchup. Lastly, we'll give you an overview of the matches of the last week to let you know which to watch and which to trash. That said, we actually have our first live real on-air announcement, and for that, Maven, how about you give us the word on exactly what I'm talking about here?
Alright, so I mean, most of you guys, hi, I'm Maven, by the way, from Ghost Gamers, also Mouse. Now, so yeah, last week we all know that Naniwa from Empire won the Team Liquid Star League qualifier, which qualified him for the league, and actually might be going to New York for the finals. And recently he's been untagging himself on IRC, and a lot of people are asking around what's going on. Is he dropping Empire? I mean, Empire, who had two people in the TSL, they had Cass as well. And he said, no, I don't know. He didn't respond, and I got news that he has joined Team Dignitas. They actually have a news post up on their site right now. So Naniva joined Team Dignitas along with Bijou, Merce, Select, Killer, and Show. So I mean, they have a really strong lineup right now with the addition of Naniwa.
Yep, and for Naniwa's sake, we gotta hope that this works out for him this time around, because let's face it, is there any team he hasn't been on lately?
Yeah, but I mean, the thing about Naniwa is that he's got such a bad reputation already that if he does even the smallest thing, I mean, he says it himself, if he forget to GG out of, frustration that he's not even frustrated on his opponent, he's afraid of himself doing something really bad and just leaves. I mean, that gets exploded. I mean, it gets multiple times bigger just because it's him doing it.
Yep, true. Once you get that reputation, it's hard to shake it. So let's hope for Naniwa's sake that he has a bright future over Dignitas. Of course, they've got a very strong roster. And it's actually kind of interesting that recently, of course, that recent addition is Bijou, of course, which is a great Protoss player. And now also Naniwa, another Protoss player. Dignitas used to be all Terran, but not anymore now. What do you think? Are they going to pick up Berserk next?
Well, I mean, they do have a lot of players, and they got 6 all in all. And of course you can pick in more players, but I mean, right now I think they should just focus on the guys they have. Maybe put in one Zerg, just because I mean they need to have some in-house gaming, and to be able to be at the top of the game, you all obviously need a Zerg to be able to do that. Preferably 2, so they can play Zerg versus Zerg against each other as well. Because the ladder, just I mean, as long as it's good practice, I won't deny that, but I mean, in-house practice is a lot better all the time.
Yep, definitely. That said, that was the big announcement. Naniwa joining a new team. It's been coming for a while now. I expected it to be sometime soon. It's good to see that he got picked up. That said, that's a good chance for us to go into the next stage of our show here. And yes, the match of the week, this time Zion versus Servant. Like I said earlier, Servant probably best known right now in Starcraft II for his DreamHack performance. Kind of surprised people there in that he beat out both Moro and Show. Show in general, though, did not perform all that well in the actual tournament, but did quite well for himself in the Nordic EPS, which was also then. So, there we go. Waiting for this load to finish, and off we go. We've got Zion from the LowLandLions spawning as he red Zerg in the 9 o'clock location. Meanwhile, at the 6, we've got Servant as the Yellow Terran, so a TVZ here on Metalopolis, close air positions. I am Martijn, aka Mommels, and co-casting with me here is going to be Maven. So, Maven is from Ghost Gamers and these days also from Mouse, so I think that's where people should know you from.
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as they know me, I'm fine. It's cool.
I see. You will take every bit of fandom. Dude, Maven, Assembly, you and me, man, gonna be casting that. Are you hyped?
Dude, I'm so hyped about that. There's so many good players gonna be coming there. We're probably gonna be talking a little bit more about that after the game. But I mean, yeah, that's gonna be huge.
Are you guys actually gonna go there?
Yes, we are gonna be at location. We will be set up there. If you want to hang out with me and Maven, you can find us there at Assembly if you are Finnish. I believe it's in Helsinki.
I mean, you can be from. Well, you can be from other countries too. It's just that
yeah, if you want to come out.
We prefer Finnish people.
Well, it's cold there, man. I'm not sure anyone but the Finnish people who want to go there.
Dude, I'm Swedish.
Yeah, well, you're also not all quite there. I guess that's something we can say.
Yeah. Regarding the game, it seems like Scion opts to go for the hatch first at 15, I think it was, if I saw it correctly, or 14. And actually, Servant doesn't seem to go for the usual, I mean, 1 racks aggression or 2 racks aggression. Getting that gas on 13, playing the probably most standard play you can from a Terran's point of view.
Yep, and you know, a big telltale is where the Terran in TVZ builds his barracks. If you build it at the bottom of the ramp, you could actually block it off with a barracks and a supply depot, so your wall is a bit quicker. So if you are doing something that you essentially don't want to have scouted, you usually have the barracks at the bottom of the ramp there. So that's a telltale. If you are scouting as a Zerg, you see a Terran blocking the bottom of his ramp instead, probably is going to do some kind of 2 racks aggression against you, something he doesn't want you to know, so take care.
Didn't they change that? So you have to actually do... yeah, exactly. Didn't they change that? You actually have to do the same thing?
Is that one of the changes in the patch?
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't played since. Well, I haven't played much since.
I haven't tried it yet, but I think it's true, yeah. Didn't he send an SCV to check for the Overlord? Because he's scouting, or he did scout in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I guess he...
yeah, and maybe we should introduce the third voice.
The third voice, of course, the Liquipedian superhero, Folan, from, well, Team Liquid.
Yo.
I actually saw some posts after the first show that we should rename the show to Folan Weekly. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was, yeah, maybe sometime in the future I can start my own show, but I like this one for now.
The myth, the legend, Folan.
The Folan.
He's going for a reactor, a barracks reactor expand, which is a build I haven't seen, I don't think.
He's following up with
I mean,
he might be doing a bit of switcheroo action.
Yeah, but I mean,
with like 2 aliens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the 2 Hellion aggression, it's too late for that now, seeing as he got an expansion up. Scion will have the Spinecrawler up. He also has a Roach Warren with roaches on the way, so that's going to be totally denied.
And it's actually not the first time we saw that. We saw that recently as well. I believe, was it in Clyde versus Eider, where Eider just... it was actually Genro versus Eider, wasn't it? Where he opened Hellions and he just got demolished because Eider went Roach first. It was one of those games.
Yeah, he did some kind of quick... Yeah, game 1 of Genro versus Eider. But we'll talk about that in a bit.
This is called a flash forward. How awesome are we? And look at that. Servant is actually floating that over to the high yield location. Interesting. Zion meanwhile moving out with his roaches. The bunker's not going to be up in time here. This could be quite interesting here.
Those roaches are... Yeah, those roaches could do a lot of damage if they're going to be engaged. And those Marines, he doesn't have the bunker up yet. The roaches are going to be able to snipe at least... No, actually, both Hellions are going to be going past. But the Queen is going to be positioning so that they can't do as much damage as they'd like.
Killing off the SCV right away and killing off the bunker before it ever finishes. Is that going to be cancelled? Ooh, I don't think that was cancelled there. A little bit sloppy, but a little bit of mineral loss, not too bad. And look at that, the SCV is at high yield now being pulled. Servant taking a huge risk with that. He said he was going to try to get ahead really early. This was apparently his game plan. Didn't quite work out for him. The Roach aggression came out at a quite nice time for Zion.
Yeah, but now he's going to be going for that Banshee. He doesn't have Cloak being researched, but I mean, a Banshee could actually change the pace of the game right now.
Yeah, of course,
but
Roaches don't shoot
that depends on science. Well, if they lay under, no. But I mean, if Zion doesn't react fast enough, he's going to be losing queens to left and right.
Yep.
Does Zion have a lair?
Zion does have lair up.
Yeah,
he's I just checked. I actually was expecting him to go Hydras, but he's going for the Spire. Spire will work also. Just in good time, he'll be able to deal with Banshee.
I'd like to see him get Burrow and just put a Ling at the natural. Because that's command center still floating around, isn't it?
Force a scan.
No, it's actually mining right now.
Yep, he just put it down in his mining with it now. Seeing the Roaches are actually forced out by the Banshee. Meanwhile, Zion is trying to expand to his third as well. We need to see some kind of aggression from Zion. I think the idea is that he's going to get those mutas out and just going to demolish anything that is actually mining at the high yield.
Yeah, because I mean, the engineering bay is just now coming up, and I think has he scanned the? Does he know about the Spire yet? Let's
check. No, he does not.
Actually, don't. But I think he hints at coming because there's not that many Roaches.
Mm-hmm. Now we see the Hellions actually trying to fry the third base here. Of course, Hellions do almost no damage to buildings, so it's going to take him a while. There they do get shooed away by the Roaches. None of that here. Now 7 mutas.
And now we see all. Yeah, now we see all of the upgrades that is possibly imaginable for Marines, except for the armor upgrade. We see Stim, Combat Shield, as well as the +1 attack for infantry.
Yep, he really wants to get those upgrades, and it's going to need him. They're a little late. With the mutas popping out already, it's going to be tough. Meanwhile, there's also a Baneless going on, so
I'm a bit worried.
Zion is already preparing for all kinds of trouble.
I'm a bit for Servant because the upgrades aren't done yet. He went a 1-1-1 build, so he doesn't have too many Marines, and he's got 2 bases that are far apart to defend from Mutalisk, so I'm hoping we'll see like 2 or 3 turrets per base ASAP, or he might be in trouble.
If he's got a turret and a bunker up at this high yield, which apparently is enough to shoo off the mutas from Zion for now, but only 1 turret at the natural. He doesn't want to go for it. Snipe the SCV. No! Does not kill the SCV. Neglects to kill the SCV. The medevac right now healing away. And in that sense, SCVs are kind of imba, aren't they? They can get both repaired and healed. Cheaters.
Half human, half machine. The SCV. That actually rhymed.
How awesome are you? Meanwhile, the 4th is going up here for Zion. So he's going to expand merrily away. I don't know, it's still the high yield that bothers me. You really can't afford to let Servant take it that easily.
It's probably okay. He might even take a 5th like right away. Like, I like how he expanded as he saw the natural, or I guess, the 2nd expansion in the Terra Natural.
Yeah, but if you think about mineral income, if you consider this high yield, he's probably getting about as much mineral income as the Terran right now.
Can you bring up the income tab?
It's actually 2,500 to 1,500 for the Terran. So, actually peaking at 3,000 there for a while.
This high yield with mules gives so much income, it's ridiculous. So even with this 4th mining, I think he's still going to be a little ahead. I actually thought with 4 bases he would be even, but no, not the case. We do see a bit of harassment here. Bio moving in, trying to snipe this 3rd. What kind of damage can he get done? Well, he's forcing all the drones to be pulled out right now. And is he going to go for it? There we go. Zion now trying to counter, but losing the 3rd already. The Banelings can't get there. Do have speed, but they just can't get to this bio, of course. Stimon splitting away. Not a great split. He still leaves some units here. Leaves them to get picked off by the Roaches.
I wonder why he doesn't load them up in the dropships and just fly away.
Oh, now we know why.
That's exactly what he's doing, because he's dropping in the main base.
The Mutas are chasing this little action here down, and yeah, there's a drop going down into the main. What is he focusing? He's focusing on the infestation pit. Interesting. There we go. I was about to say, that's not a good feeling to really focus in this situation, but I guess if you are worried about some kind of fungal action, that's the way to go.
It's okay to keep him. You need an infestation pit to get high. So
yeah,
it's,
true enough, but
it's a pretty key building to kill off.
I don't think he's gonna want to take
Or it
the hive
can
yet,
be
though.
anyway. No, probably not. But had he wanted to, he'd be delayed. So
True
there
enough.
you go.
You limiting your opponent's options is actually a big part of the metagame. You know, your opponent might not have wanted to go a certain way, but now you know he won't be able to. Oh, the drop is gonna get spotted here by the Mutas. Oh, free bio. Tango down.
But at the same time, we had a drop at the top position, at the fourth, the fourth base of this Scion, so a lot of drones went down, and it's not until now that we see the Roche is going to be coming in to clean it up, so they did a huge amount of damage to the economy of Scion there.
Yep, it seems that Zion is having a bit of a problem just keeping the map control, in the sense that he has those mutas out, and usually mutas give you such a huge amount of map control that you can easily fend off drops. But not the case, and that might actually be, if you think about it, might have something to do with this high yield being in such a location that it's very hard for Zion to get a whole lot of map control, because the central point just belongs to Servant.
Well, I mean, even if it got the central point, I think right now that the 15 mutas is going to easily be able to take down the third, but the high yield is almost mined out, so he should be focusing on a different location.
He got like full value out of that.
Yep, massive value. Also in the sense that his map control, like he can't spot drops. He can't fly his mutas over that location, so he can't easily contain his opponent with mutas, because there's just this huge line of surface area where the drops can come out of.
Yeah, well, I mean, not to be bashing Scion, but the thing is, the difference between a top player and the semi elite is that the reactions are so much faster. I mean, a drop comes, and you see a fraction of it on the minimap, and then your whole Muta crew is there picking everything off.
That's tough though, positioning like that. You do not see some infestors come out. Any dropship caught by that fungal growth actually is going to be pretty deadly. What do you guys think about the nerf we saw on the test server for a while there, where fungal growth couldn't hit air units anymore?
It was just stupid, plain stupid.
Not a big fan, huh?
Well, I mean, I play Terran, so for me it would be, alright, awesome, I can drop whatever I want. But, I mean, I can see that being too much of a, like, imbalanced thing. Terran being able to drop everywhere. It's just not doable.
The Servant is just looking to split the map here, is what it looks like. He's getting his 5th base up now. That is a lot more than he wanted Terran to have in a TVZ.
You don't even want a Terran to get the 3rd base, especially not in a map when this 3rd base is actually in the middle.
Yep. We do see this big blob of bio moving forward in front of the tanks. Meanwhile, there's a drop going down along the north side as well. So again, Servant keeping up the multi-front attacks. Apparently didn't learn anything from World War II, where we were all taught that you're not supposed to fight a war on 2 fronts. No, Servant says I can do it better. And yes, we are not politically correct
one
there.
big war and then two skirmishes.
That was actually a little bit funny.
I'm like, oh my god, did I just make that joke? Yeah, I did.
I've got a World War II joke later on. So.
Here we go, the drop goes down. Meanwhile, also some elevator play, but the elevator play getting denied by a nice fungal there. Splattering a lot.
Yeah, and actually we see a drop at the top as well, so he's gonna get both gases. And I mean, there's 3 spine crawlers, so he's not going to be able to push in that hard. It'll take a while, so he should be able to get a couple of forces there to clean it up.
Servant flying a full medevac over the whole force of Zion, but Zion is really busy just dealing with his front. He's having a tough time with his Mutas, trying to pick up some tanks. He's worried that those tanks will encroach upon his territory more and more, but this drop place is doing so much damage. This is what he needs to be worried about. Oh, he cleans it up with Banelings, but loses way too many Banelings there. They cost him way too many Banelings.
And now we see 4 Medivacs going to be unloading in the back of the main of Sion right now. Positioning the tanks just below the area of the main here. Going to be stimming up, moving in, taking out one of the evil chambers. Then just backing off. And now we see a lot of Banelings going to be moving in. The Zerglings, Mutalisk, all to just push him back. And I think it's actually going to be successful.
Yep, he wanted to use his main force to deal with the tank line. Now it's going to swing around and actually deal with the bio. See, the Banelings can get there. Oh, a lot of Banelings dying before they can finally get there. But now they've broken through and... Wow. Green goo everywhere.
Why didn't he load up into the medevac?
Apparently.
Oh my god.
Not in time. Yeah, what we can
Makes
say
me
is
sad.
that at least food-wise, these guys are pretty much even now. Interestingly enough. Upgrades though, look at the bio of Servant. 2-3 upgraded already. This high yield is now mined out, and look at that. Servant is, well, if he gets his base up, this last base, he'll have split the map successfully in TVZ.
And they'll have more bases than the Zerg. What?
Mind is blown. But, you know, we can say that, but at least the food-wise, you know, Servant is a little ahead now again. He's 20 food ahead, which is considerable. But if you look at the amount of bases, it's not that much. And he is going to get mined out a lot earlier. So, if Zion can somehow hold out for a long, long time, not having that many bases.
I don't think that's going to...
We saw this in GSL as well, you know, where people ended up getting mined out, and the guy that had less mules, he won the match.
Yeah, well, that was in the Terran versus Terran. In Terran versus Zerg, I mean, you gotta agree that the Terran army is a lot more cost efficient than the Zerg army.
Definitely.
Yeah, so if it comes down to that, then we would be seeing a Terran win this.
Well, I think just with the amount of bases, you know, the Servant is going to be ahead, but it's just a matter of trying to last this out for Zion. You know, see how long he can last. Now attacking the main Servant's got to realize that there's not a whole lot he can actually get in the main, though. Not that much worth taking.
I'm not sure I'm liking the way he plays. He keeps making as the Zerg keeps making Mutalisks, the Terran should really be focusing on getting like a lot of Marines because they will, you know, kill Mutalisks. But instead, he's got a lot of factories and he's splitting up the Marines by sending 8 with the dropship out at a time, and that way you can easily lose, you know, Mutas or Banelings.
You see that the Broodlings there, from Broodlords, just putting those Broodlings onto the Marines, and the tanks doing the rest of their work. Friendly fire, blue on blue, Marines just splattering everywhere.
And this is actually a tactic that I like from Servant. He's getting Ghosts to get that snipe ability versus the Broodlords. And I mean, that's probably one of the better ideas after getting Vikings.
Can't afford Vikings. He's using those very successfully actually. Snipe, snipe, snipe going off there everywhere. But the Roaches, actually too much to deal with here for Servant. Is he going to fold here? We do see the Mutas being very aggressive towards the newest base of Servant as well. And you know, of course, another nickname for the Broodlord is a GG unit. Usually by the time Zerg actually manages to get a good amount of these, the game's over. And the score is
but that actually requires... Yeah, but that actually requires the Terran to not be on the same amount of bases.
Yeah,
especially not even more bases.
But he quite successfully managed to clear out the Terran army there. And it's actually even in food again, so... Part of that is, of course, that Servant is just, he just doesn't have the production to spend everything right now. He's floating minerals. You can actually see him 2k minerals and 3.5k gas, but that is because he's got that many bases. He just doesn't have enough production to actually support all these bases at one time. His command center might be getting picked off, though. Ooh, that's not a good thing there.
And we see SCV attacking.
He's trying to clear food. Servant is at max food right now, which is why he can't produce anymore. So he wants to kill off.
It would be
his
so
extra
hilarious
SCVs.
if they actually managed to take it down.
I would hope not. There we go. The Ghost actually very successful there, sniping onto the Broodlords, doing a lot of damage there. Morphing in, but not going to be the case there. Server's not going to allow it. It's determined to push forward here. If you think about it, this is the time Server needs to hit. The game goes on much longer than, and he can't actually make.
We won't have any time.
Advance. It's going to be rough.
Yeah, actually those 3 SCVs are going strong at the road right now.
Really?
This is pretty cool usage of ghosts, I have to say.
I remember it was used as like an early defense against Mutalisks, but I've never actually, and also against
dude, snipe against Mutalisks,
what's
cleared them
what
up
is it
so
called?
quickly.
Big Surdlings.
And there we go, there's the GG.
Yeah.
The push successful. Well done by Servant.
Yeah.
And I think we definitely saw a macro battle here. There we go, we actually have Servant in here already. We're just going to be waiting a second or two for Zion to connect as well. Well, while we have Servant here, congratulations, man, well played. And yeah, look at that, there's Zion as well.
Thanks.
Any thoughts on the match? Did it go as planned, or were we actually surprised with how it went?
Well, I'm experimenting lately with taking a gold path in every matchup. So I wanted to try that. I think I just need to do my early timings a bit better with the bunker, and then yeah, for the rest of them I was pretty happy with the play. You know, it's usual PvZ, just drop everywhere on the map, and Zer can follow.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, you played a considerable macro battle. It worked out quite well for you by taking that early high yield. You got a huge income advantage. Zion, what were your thoughts when you actually saw that high yield up? As Zion is silent, there we go.
Yeah, I can hear it. I really didn't treat it any differently like a regular expansion.
Do you think you should have?
So I just... Yeah, I really don't think changed my play when I saw that second expansion. My main goal was to make a big long game.
Oh, I see. You were like, well, hey, now I'm on air, now I'm live, now I'm gonna make it last, huh?
Yeah, but
You wanted your 15 minutes of fame. So any thoughts, aside from of course the very quick high yield, anything else that really came to mind on what was notable this game, Servant?
Well, I think that what Terrans have been doing lately is like using like Ghost to combat the mass air build of Zerg.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen in GSL Terrans try using Vikings, but I don't think that's a good idea in general because they're really weak. Mutas splash kills them. So I've been talking to Dark Force a bit, and he also agrees that, you know, Ghosts with Sniper is actually really powerful against really expensive units like Broodlords. You just, you know, shift spam, snipe them, and they die pretty quick. So yeah, yeah, that was like, you know, one of the newer things I tried this match, and I probably think that over the, you know, couple of months we're gonna see that more. Yeah, Ghosts in late game to complement, you know, the Marine tank heavy army composition.
Interesting to see those Ghosts in TVC, most definitely. Zion, for you, what was most notable in the match? Like, is there anything you were like, well, hey, this really stood out for me?
I was really lucky 2 times, because I catched a few dropships in the air, but I still couldn't hold my bases together. It was really hard to defend against all the drop, and there was no way for me to attack. Well, I couldn't find a way. I was really surprised with ghosts, though. They just killed my Brootlers instantly.
Yep, they're quite an interesting counter. I gotta agree with that. That said, that actually wraps up our match discussion. If you guys in chat have any questions for these players, please let us know. We'll be looking at the chat as well, so if you have any questions, ask away. That said, meanwhile, we're going to go over to the next section of the show. There we go. Of course, the unit of the week this time around was going to be the Mutalisk, and we saw quite a few of them come into play here. Usually what you see in a TVZ is that a lot of map control comes out for the Zerg as soon as they get those mutas out. And suddenly there's a time where the Terran really can't leave his base very much. What are your thoughts on Mutalisk in the early mid game, or in the late game even, Zion?
I'm really trying to switch with Roaches and Mutalisk because I don't think it's super effective. I've been having a really hard time opening up with Mutalisk. I use it more like my idea of Mutalisk is to use it defensively against the dropship.
So kind of like interceptors, where previously maybe in StarCraft 1 you'd have used Courage for the same kind of task.
Well, in StarCraft 1 in the beginning it was more of a harassment. But turrets in StarCraft 2 are insane.
You actually think so? You don't think that, buck for buck, if you properly position, I guess, magic box your mutas, you can take out turrets pretty quickly. You think you really think they're not very cost efficient?
Well, I think they are, but I don't like them too much. I'm more of a ground unit.
So, Servant, when as a Terran dealing with Mutalisks, what are your main concerns? We did see that you actually introduced Ghost into your anti-air, or I guess mostly most common scores is getting more and more Marines. How do you deal with Mutalisk, Servant?
Well, I think Mutalisk, it depends a bit on how you deal with him. I think if Terran has like the initiative in the matchup, I think it's really easy to deal with him, because in the matches like this, we saw in the show match, you saw Zion is just chasing dropships around, and maybe he catches one, but mostly the Mutalisk can't really get map control in general because Terran puts on so much pressure. So in that case, I think Mutalisk are pretty worthless to have. I mean, you're better off with maybe a bigger ground army at that stage, try to swing the tide. I think Mutalisk are actually really good when you have the advantage, and you use those Mutalisks to contain your advantage. If you kind of understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Zerg is like ahead in the mid game, I think Mutalisks are really great to shut down drops and stuff, because that's the only way Terran can really come back. But when you're behind, and being like moved around the map with drops and attacks, I don't really think they're doing that much.
I see. So, unlike StarCraft 1, the Mutalisks are actually falling out of grace here with our pros. Maven, Folon, do you guys, either of you guys have any thoughts on the Mutalisk and its future in StarCraft 2? Is it just not as good, or what do you think?
Well, I can't.
Go ahead, Folon.
Yeah, go on.
Maven, you can go. Okay. Well, like I kind of agree with Servant said in that I think that they're a good unit, like to tip the balance. Like if you can get. Like, if you look at Hydra versus Clyde, I don't know if everyone saw that, but, you should. Like, he didn't, like, the Terran tried to put on some pressure with the Hellions, didn't do enough damage. And then his Marines, Thors, turrets, they were late, and he used the Mutalisk in that window of time to get way, way ahead. But at a certain point in the TVZ late game, and the Marines get bigger in numbers and they get their 2/2 upgrades, then Mutalisk kind of becomes less valuable.
Okay. And Maven, your thoughts?
That's my idea. I'd use them to tip the balance. but not
Well,
as
I
an
can't-
actual army to engage it.
Well, I can't really say that I never played Brood War, at least not to the point of me actually being good at it. But in StarCraft 2, the Mutalisk to me is like in the early games, like everyone says, is a harass unit. But if you let the Zerg actually get a critical amount of Mutalisks, then I mean, so many Mutalisks is like if you have like 40 of them, it's really impossible to stop. If the Zerg doesn't do like some dumb stuff and clump them up and you get like 4 Thorshaws off. But other than that, I think a lot of Mutalisks are really good, and in the early games they're good too for harassment.
That's a good point, actually. Mutalisk in large amounts are deadly. That's why it is a harassing unit. So by all means harass with them. But make sure that you value each and every one of them. Every one you lose actually can accumulate to a bigger loss later on. If you can get to that critical amount of mutas, they are absolutely deadly. A bit of a question related to mutas in our last match. Zion, you were intercepting a lot of drops with your mutas. Why didn't you opt to split up your mutas more instead of having them as one big clump trying to intercept all the dropships?
And that is a good idea.
Something you probably should have done then.
Yeah, there's a lot of mistakes I made, and he played very good. And how Servi explains about the Mutalisk, I also think you cannot put pressure on the Terran, because if you go to his base, he has a turret, and he just attacks when you go to his base. Or he can drop even more.
I see. Yeah, no, definitely a good point. And that is going to be it for our discussion on this unit of the week. But next up, we're actually going to be discussing the matches recently involving European players. So I guess foreigners as well a bit. Simi, we do branch over just a little bit to discuss Hydra as well in GSL. Simi is doing was doing quite well. I guess we can't say is doing anymore, but he was doing quite well. There's several matches that I want to discuss, but I know Maven and Folon also have some that they really want to get the word out on. I think we should start out with probably the most interesting match that everyone either watched or heard about.
Can I say it?
Oh no! Sorry, Maven. I'm not going to steal your thunder. Say it. Preach it.
Goody versus Sirens.
Oh, screw you, buddy. Hydra versus Jinro, no, definitely. GSL. We saw a rematch, so we already saw them meet up in GSL recently, but now again. And I think the result, it's hard to say, but I think we might be getting to the point where we can say, hey, Europe owns America. Can we? Are we allowed to? What do you think?
You have to be careful saying that, because people will get angry.
Yep. I think so as well. So we're not gonna.
I mean, Europeans did win the American Teal Open.
Oh yeah. Oops.
But I can mention that, but
Cold. So yeah, Hydra versus Jinro. First map we saw Hydra actually go with roaches instead of speedlings, and then transition into a standard Muta Bling Ling. I honestly thought the first map on Xel'Naga was pretty standard, aside from Hydra playing a bit unusual for him for Hydra. But any other Zerg going with those roaches first, I think quite a standard game. What are your thoughts, Maven?
Well, you're talking about the first game, right? To me, it looked like the standard Terran versus Zerg game, where like the Zerg just gets to do whatever he wants, and the Terran gets to do whatever he wants, and that results in the Zerg just demolishing the Terran, because when a Zerg can do what he wants and the Terran can do what he wants, then most of the time the Zerg just rolls over the Terran. And I mean roll over as in banelings, of course.
Yeah, literally. Fall on the first map just briefly. I think it was very standard. What are your thoughts?
Sorry, I didn't catch that last bit. Was very what?
Very standard. For any other Zerg, this would have been very standard on Xel'Naga.
Yeah, I guess. I like that he took his third like really early, like as soon as he fended off the attack, he took a third. And at that point, Jinro's expansion was kind of late, and that kind of snowballed, I think.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's all we're gonna waste on this first match. I mean, the first map really wasn't all that interesting, but the second map, Metalopolis, double bunker into a GG right away. I mean, what? That was so quick. Full on your thoughts?
It's like
I think
TSL all over again.
TSL all over again, really?
Yeah, kind of. Because, well, you know what I mean with TSL, right?
Yeah, well, I knew, but maybe people in the audience
Okay, well,
would know.
I'll
so
explain.
Explain.
Okay. Idra played versus Noni, now Tyler, on, I don't know, some map. This is like Brood War. And he made a command center.
Ah, yes.
Incidentally cancelled it, and just tapped out, GG'd out. And because he was kind of thinking, you know, never mind, I'll take him next game. And he's kind of like that. He's, you know, doesn't want to bother trying to, you know, he doesn't want to deal with this shit. And so he just GG's out. And, you know, most players, when something happens to them, they'll, you know, do something desperate and all in, try to, you know,
give it a shot,
get out of it, and then
gamble.
Yeah, you know. But that's just not Idra.
What about your thoughts, Maven? Maven! We've lost Maven. He's now in an alternate dimension.
Oh damn. Is he still in the channel? Oh, he's still in the channel, man.
Oh my god, Maven, what's going on?
There is
Yeah, I'm here.
with your
What's up?
television. Do not attempt to adjust the picture.
We're doing this show
We are
that's
now
live.
controlling the
And
transmission.
you're on it.
We control the
Oh, right, that thing.
horizontal
Alright.
and the vertical.
The second game?
There we go. Yep. So your thoughts on the second game on this is the game on Metalopolis, basically double bunker into an instant good game by Hydra. What were your thoughts on that, Maven?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think that for Hydra, if he had continued the game, he would have been so angry, or I mean, at least frustrated about it, that he would just perform less good than he usually does.
So you're pretty much
and as for
So you're pretty much saying that if Hydra had kept playing, so much steam would start building up in his booth that he couldn't see anymore, and the screen would just fog over, and the television cameras wouldn't be able to see him anymore, and his mind would explode.
Yeah, well, I think that the crowd wouldn't be able to handle the Kraken Unleashed, so I think it did it for everyone else's sake.
Public safety.
Yeah.
It's kind of this mindset that he has. Maybe he, because like he's got this mindset that close positions Metalopolis is unwinnable for Zerg, and I mean, you know, everyone pretty much agrees that it's, you know, a major disadvantage for a Zerg, but you know, he's got this kind of mindset that it's unbeatable and it's like no use. So, like he went. Either always goes for an expand build, and as Zerg you should always go for an expand build, and he went fast speedling, so I'm thinking that maybe he planned on all-inning Jinro with like banelings or speedlings or something. And, you know, just because he was in his mindset of not standing a chance otherwise. This is just speculation though, like, but maybe that's why he...
Oh, this is good stuff.
Like
this
when
is,
that was like, kind of thwarted by the bunkers, that, you know, he couldn't do that anymore. That he didn't think it was salvageable.
Yeah, Hydra's
game,
worst
not the bunkers.
opponent
Bunkers
is
were always
Hydra
salvageable.
pretty much.
And this was even worse because it wasn't a bunker rush. He took like, he did a regular bunker, regular barracks. He took
Regular
his
racks,
gas,
yeah.
and you know, and then he still managed to wall in because, you know, there wasn't an overlord or drone there. There was no hatchery, and he'd already made the investment in speed, which is of no use if there's like bunkers blocking your lings in.
Yeah, it
So
seemed
it was even a worse situation.
it seemed almost like General wasn't even planning with this. He just, you know, moved his SCVs forward and was like, hey, there's no hatch up. Well, I might
if
as
you
well.
if you
Yeah.
saw his interview, he said, you know, I was just planning on, you know, you can safely expand behind the bunker wall in, and then you salvage them and you're ahead because he doesn't have hatchery, but it's not as if it was meant to be game ending.
Yep. Definitely the most interesting game of that series was, for me, on at least on Shakira's Plateau. I think the most significant thing was, in those horizontal positions, either taking down his own rocks. That was a bit of an awkward timing for me. I can kind of understand why as a Zerg you would want to, but at that point it seemed very awkward, seeming with no intention of actually going in there. The suggestion was that he was taking down his own rocks so that the Terran couldn't push in on his own time. But still, I think that was really awkward to do it at that time, and I'm not sure. Folan, do you have any thoughts on that?
That's a shit argument. I'm sorry, but I don't even understand that. You don't ever want to decrease the distance between yourself, the Zerg, and your opponent, the Terran.
Exactly.
I have no idea why he did it. Maybe Zion has an idea.
Zion, you're stuck in horizontal positions with your Terran opponent on Shakira's Plateau. Why in the world would you take down your own rocks if you're not intending to actually move out there? Any ideas, Zion?
Yeah, I would also do the same thing, because it makes it easier for the creep to spread. You could always counter if he doesn't go through the rock, and there is a possibility that you can take him off guard when he goes through the rock, because he thinks your rocks are not destroyed, so he just A-moves towards the rock, and if you then come out with an army of Banelings and Mutalisk, then it would be an easy raid.
Mm-hmm.
But that is lucky though.
I see. You think I have a hard time blaming that on luck, because it was a concise decision to take down those rocks. And if you take down those rocks, you have to be prepared of some kind of Terran force walking up there. It makes complete sense that you would be aware that something can come through there.
I can understand.
Yeah, you really made a mistake there.
Yeah. Go ahead, fall down.
I can understand that you create the threat of a backstab, but I don't think that's either's playstyle, so I'm still not too sure why he did it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Servant?
I think that it doesn't really matter, especially at the damage output of the Marines and siege tanks. If Terran wants to take down the rocks, they can take them down anyway. And I actually think that this is like a good idea, because you want to have creep down there as fast as you possibly can. If Terran pushes, and we saw, I think it was in the ENM, Mers against the Maga, Mers did it as well. He just blasted down his own rocks, and pushed with siege tanks, and the Maga had his rocks up still, but there's not like a whole lot you can do, I think, when there's no creep there.
I'm pretty sure that you can spread creep through rocks. And I'm gonna look at the chat to see if people can confirm this, but...
Yeah, you can. At least destructible rocks you can push it through, yeah. And you can push it through bunkers as well.
Someone's actually suggesting that in chat, you've got to take him down or you're in worse position. If you don't take him down, they take the third and planetary fortress it. That's a weak excuse, if any, though. I mean, they can take their third pretty much anywhere.
Sense.
They can take their third next to the expansion at the Zelnaga Tower easily. So it's not a map where expanding is actually hard on, even for a Terran. So yeah.
Okay. I'm
Besides,
actually
he didn't really spread the
to
creep much
seeing
there
an
either.
interview
So.
with Hydra, because I haven't seen one yet, and maybe he'll explain it. So
I think that's one of the biggest flaws in Hydra's play. Maybe it's because he's nervous, but when I see him play GSL, he doesn't seem to spread the creep that much.
Mm.
He doesn't do it fast enough, I think.
Moro right now is actually making a point in chat that he just wants you want to engage before Terran reaches the downside of your ramp. But that's the thing. When Ira took down the rocks, he had no kind of force which he could actually move out with. It's not like he could have met the Terran army halfway. It would have gotten demolished. He didn't have the army to do it with. At that timing, with the units he had, with the army he had, it doesn't make sense.
it does make some sense. I like the ramp is a bit smaller than like the path between the bases, so I guess you gain a little bit by it.
I think we've been on the subject too long. I think we need to move on.
Yeah, Moro
says
maybe
when he did arrive, Yeah, when he did arrive, the army seemed really small to me.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it.
And of course, the last game of that series, the 6 pool, apparently intentional by either. That's what I heard from. That's what Artosis did tell us. And I think if you're gonna cheese, the only way that you can actually win like that is if you type out in all caps "Acción Jesus," and then you will win with a 6 pool, but otherwise not.
Well, it was kind of like that because the commentator did it for him.
I heard that as well.
Oh,
that there was some
drama
with them maybe having heard.
Yeah, General said it. General heard them in the beginning going, "Oh, Action Jesus," and then he said, "All right, I'm gonna scout."
Seriously? Action Jesus? Is that actually what they
Yeah.
said?
No, they didn't.
I
But
was about to say.
it felt a little bit more funnier saying that.
They were just being loud. But yeah, there was a lot of controversy around that game. Like, you can read all about it on Team Liquid. Basically, there was a bit where he apparently heard, then he scouted, missed it with the scout, and then he cancelled the marine instead of the barracks, which caused the marine to be later, which caused the bunker to be finished at the point that the marine arrived. So, yeah, it's like a series of misfortune. It's how do you call that? A series of unfortunate events. Thank you. That kind of led to that win, I guess. But yeah, this is exactly what I meant with the either mindset where he goes, oh, I'm on jungle basin, I cannot win, or Zerg is underpowered on this map, etc., etc.
Let me just try to cheese.
Which I agree with him, but it's not super unbeatable. It's like it's not balanced, but you can try. I mean, Zergs have won on that map, so.
What I don't understand though is if say General heard the 6 pool or whatever, say the controversy is completely validated, he heard something and he got to tell. Why wouldn't he have walled off properly? I mean, he could have placed the supply depot and the attack wouldn't have even landed. It's not like he completely. It's not like he blind countered. No. It's like, oh, do it.
Yeah, the GOM actually wrote an apology about not being soundproof, etc., etc. Yeah. And had he walled off at like this very awkward timing where you get that second supply depot in the wall when you don't need it, then they would have done a regame, or they would have considered it or something.
But because Jinro basically played it out as if
because
he hadn't
didn't
heard anything.
Yeah, they let it go.
Besides, it was not like he had an easy defense there.
Definitely not.
I think it was just terrible for Jinro. I cancelled this marine, but I think normally you should be able to out-micro that easily. But yeah, it was just a shitty game, and with some sound bug, with the boot and the headsets. Yeah. I don't know. It just felt a bit awkward, and well, I think it's like that. It's really hard to beat General on that map anyway. I think so. Yeah, Idra took his chance, and he got kind of unlucky, I think, and I think that's it with that map, with that strat.
I see. That's some good insight. Other matches that, of course, a little while longer, we had MC versus Jinro, which was that's a series you should check out. MC versus Jinro, Phoenixes countered by Mech, and then we even saw carriers come into play after a 4-gate. Definitely, we're not going to spend too much time on it. Definitely a series that you want to check out.
Surf, do you play any Mech versus Protoss yet?
Oh yeah, I used to play it. I saw the game. It kind of reminded me of like my E&M game against Soccer. I think it was in Shakuras or something. I think MC. I think he switched the carriers too fast, and he didn't expand enough and pump enough. He didn't boost his economy enough before making the switch to carriers. because he isn't like really used to it, and that's what lost in the game. I don't really think mech is viable at all. I mean, I could see so many flaws in like Jinro's play, that a good Protoss player that plays against his style like a couple of times, I think he would just crush it, just absolutely crush it.
I think that actually had a lot to do with it, and I'm not saying that Jinro's play was bad at all, just that no one was actually used to dealing with that. So in that sense, Jinro was just one step ahead of the game.
I watched some of Tyler's stream a couple of days ago, and he was actually working on a versus mech build, or at least I think he was. I'm not 100% sure on this, but what he does was a 3-gate, many sentries expand, and then put down 2 Stargates and pump Void Rays and get like 4 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And like Void Rays are ridiculously strong versus Thors, and obviously they can take out tanks, and the only thing you have to be scared about is Marines, but with the force fields and the sentries you can take those out. So I don't know, I really don't like meching versus, like, I don't like the really tank heavy play versus Protoss as much, but we're seeing it a bit, and I think that it's good that it's being explored at the moment. But I don't know if you guys have seen game 1 of Goody versus Naniwa on Lost Temple from the Team Liquid Open.
I actually did not. Sorry.
Me neither.
Can you give us a
Well, it was
recap?
basically, I think it was that game, I'm not even 100% sure, but basically he went for, the very tank heavy kind of Terran composition, and Naniwa just made Colossi and Stalkers and just won. And
laughed, pretty much.
Well, I don't know about the laughing part, but it beat the
knowing Naniwa, he was sitting there just.
I played against Naniwa a bit on ladder, and he did the same thing against me, like Colossi and Blink Stalker. And the problem I have with that is that you can't ever, if you play mech with tanks and Thors, you want to have the Protoss army just go, you want to face it head on, you want to force him in a position that he has to engage you head on. But what Nania just did there was the Blink Stalkers and the Colossi, he just keeps, moving around, keeps blinking in your base, keeps using the mobility of the Colossi and the Stalkers to outmaneuver mech. And that's also a really good counter. Mm-hmm. And I think there's so many mobile options Protoss have that you can't ever create a front where you face Protoss head on, and that's why I don't think it's working at all at the moment.
I see. Well, there is of course one other big tournament going on right now, and that is more European, the IEM European Championships. It's been day 1 there. Few matches there, but there's one match that I know Maven is like sitting there. He's like, "Oh wow, did that actually happen?" How about you lead us into that, Maven?
Well, all right. I know everyone has been talking around lately. Like TVT is changing. There's a change coming. When something's happening, it's going to be interesting watching Terran versus Terran. And then someone like Goody comes in, bashes everything that everyone has been fighting for, turns the turn on everything, smashes it down to small pieces, and plays a game with almost only tanks and Thors. And Sarens, who, he might just be inexperienced, only thing he does is, I don't know how to counter this, so I'll do the same thing. And they end up playing for 80 minutes in the same game, not doing anything for the last, 30 minutes of the game. And I don't know.
And you're not exaggerating, right? That game actually did last 80 minutes.
It did. I watched the whole thing.
I feel sorry.
I had programming lessons. So.
I'm gonna try and defend that game because.
Go ahead, full on. Say some.
So basically, they both took their towers because it wasn't Lost Temple. They took their towers, set up a row of tanks there, and didn't want to drive, their tanks into the others' sieged tanks because, that's a pretty stupid thing to do because you'll lose everything, etc. So this is kind of where we're going after the the general game. No more driving your army into the other guy's shed, and so that's what they didn't do, and they took positions at their, respective sides of the map. And from that point onward, they were both like 200, 200, 3 upgrades, etc. And what you kind of want to do in that kind of position, in that stage of the game, is force a position. You want to, attack his buildings, so you force him to attack into you, or stuff like that. But they were both at 200, 200, only had tanks, so they couldn't, they didn't want to risk anything. So, people were saying, get battlecruise, but you cannot have battlecruise without a bunch of Vikings, and people were saying nukes, but you cannot go nukes because you're 200, 200, and you don't want to sacrifice any tanks.
Alright.
And so
I'll give.
There was this kind of, for us, the viewers, it's really easy to say, okay, now we can go there, or we can do this, etc., etc. But these guys, they both know that the other guy has a shit ton of tanks. They don't want to drive into it, so they were very, apprehensive, and that lasted for quite a bit. But we did get to see, when he used mules to drop them on tanks to make the splash damage kill them, and they used mules to mine out the other guy's island. I mean, that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, alright. Okay, I get
actually did that right now. There's actually a link up that Moro just posted that is absolutely classic, and which relates to this very well. I'll show it to you guys on stream.
Yeah. Alright. Before you talk about that, let me just say what I think.
Your counter.
Alright. There. Alright. So, Terran vs Terran, you have full 200, 200 tanks. I get that. You can't do anything. You want your opponent to go into you, and you can't go battlecruiser because you need Vikings. You can't go nuke because that's just plainly dumb. So I mean, every Gold League dumb stuff, and his Ravens get point defense drone for the Vikings, and then Hunter Seeker Missile, which totally annihilates all tanks because they can't move. They're slow as you know what, and I mean I just can't see that neither of them thought of it.
I don't know. Why would you get Ravens?
Getting a lot of Ravens is very
Raven dies.
It's tough.
Yeah, but the thing is, you had
they had no
5,000 gas.
Yeah, I get that kind of is irrelevant. But what I would do is I would just sacrifice some SCVs, suicide them in, get a medevac, get some marauders, and start dropping.
They did that.
I mean, just what you need to do.
No, they did all that.
Oh,
they did all that. It didn't work.
How did they make it last 80 minutes then, man? It's mind-blowing.
It's they have a line of tanks everywhere and a line of turrets, so you cannot do cutesy drops and stuff like that. What you need to, what people used to do in Brood War, what you need to have is make a move that forces a position. So either you mass drop a place, or you use Yamatos to take out tanks and turrets so you can move there. Or I guess, Tilo used nukes. I don't know how that would have turned out in that game, but I like using nukes in TVT because, you can force the unsiege, etc. And they didn't do that. And I don't know why Ravens would, make a difference there. You get one Raven, he gets 2 Vikings, your Raven dies, GG. I mean,
the thing is,
you cannot sacrifice 10 tanks and then get 10 Ravens out at once. And then drop 10 turrets, and that's it.
Well, the thing, you don't drop turrets. You don't. You get Hunter Seeker Missiles. You get the point defense drone because the point defense drone absorbs the damage from the Vikings, and you get the Hunter Seeker Missiles to be able to do the same kind of thing that you do with the nukes. You force your opponents to move back, and if he doesn't move back, then half his tank line is going to get demolished by the Ravens. It's not hard. Everyone does it. It's just that
I want to
they
hear
didn't think of it.
Servant's opinion on this.
Servant, you're stuck in a 60, 70-minute TVT. Your map is split. You've got a bunch of tanks and just mech Thor. What do you do to break the enemy line?
What I do to break the enemy line? Fuck, I know. I have actually no idea. I played against Goody, and I think yes, Goody is the king of those situations. I don't think he ever loses them. I have no idea how to break it. Yeah, Ravens are nice. I suppose. Well, like if the other guy gets some Vikings, yeah, you need to get Vikings as well. But then he can get more Vikings, yeah, and so it will come a Viking war again. So
Well, the thing is-
I talked to Entity about it. Yeah, and I think basically with that much orbital command, you know, you have map hack. You know what's going on. You know what army composition the other guy has. So you can always mirror that. So yeah, I think at that stage
Yep.
of the game, it's just this slow, and eventually someone runs out of gas, and that's what happened.
What I would have,
Yeah, but
the one thing I would have liked to see is Goody, you know, when he dropped the mules on the in the main base of Serent to, you know, kill those 3 tanks. If he had gotten like 1 or 2 dropships and just start elevatoring tanks into the main to shoot at factories, that way you can force the engagement. You take position on the other guy and you force the engagement. And if he doesn't engage, then you know you kill his base slowly but surely.
This is just completely out there.
But
what
I don't
about
know why
just-
they
just
didn't do
mule
that.
dropping your opponent. You know, if he has that many tanks, there's got to be areas you can.
he on siege.
You don't have. Yeah, well, if he unsieges, that's awesome. You move forward with your line. I mean, that's. It might.
Yeah,
just
they
be
didn't
worth
do
it
any of that.
to-
I mean,
to drop some.
Well, the
mules
thing
in your
is,
opponent.
they're. Yeah, but the thing is,
Oh,
they were
no.
both on siege at all times, almost the
Seriously?
entire
Yeah.
game.
That's odd.
Yeah, because they didn't want. Yeah, because I mean, if one moves forward, then they siege a couple of tanks and then move forward with the rest and just start shooting. Because they won't get as far as they can shoot at the sieged ones, but he won't be sieged, so he'll be taking a lot of splash damage from the ones who sieged. So the one who attacks loses.
Wow. It sounds
and
like
if
probably
you
the
drop
most
a
boring
mule,
game ever.
it takes like no, I don't know.
Well, I
But
mean,
you know,
back to the
I'll agree that it was boring, but I don't blame the players for it. A lot of people are like, "Well, Goody's such a shit player," and I don't agree.
No,
with that
absolutely
level.
not. They're both very talented players. But I just say that I don't know why anyone didn't think of the Raven, because I mean the thing that makes the nuke.
I will
So
try the
good.
Ravens, and I will get back to you on that.
All right.
See,
Because
I would
don't-
try.
I'm not sure I like this.
And see, my direct answer would be, if I'm thinking about a situation like that, I'd try to mimic zealot bombing or something. You know, just something to just get something going to break the line. But it's a tough mirror in Starcraft 2. You don't have the overkill anymore, of course. The splash damage isn't that much anymore. It's tough to break a stalemate in TVT. And any last thoughts? Of course, I'm gonna give you all a word, all a chance to have your say. Zion, any sponsors or anything, anyone you want to thank?
I think that you will already thank them, or you already did. But like, thanks Survey for playing against. I really like to play against his style of Terran.
I see, awesome. Yeah, of course. I'll do the work for you. Of course, he's with the LowLandLions, sponsored by Sennheiser, Pure Track, all those good guys that actually make the show possible as well. That said, Servant, your turn. Any thank yous to anyone? Any shout outs?
Well, I want to thank Zion, of course, to play, and I suppose I want to thank my team, Serious Gaming, sponsored by Razer. Alright, that's about it. I don't know.
I see. Well, that's good enough. Well, Folon, aside from telling everyone to update Liquipedia, because we need more people updating that great information source over on Team Liquid. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I actually just F5'd that because I wanted to see the current standings for IEM finals, and it's on there. So you know, if you want to know that as well, you can go there as well. And I'll do a shout out to #TL.nl who are all watching, I think.
Awesome.
But that's it for me.
I idle there. All the cool Dutch people do, apparently.
I know.
Maven, last thoughts. Go!
Yeah. Alright, so first of all, I just want to say that right now, the one who all were laughing at when they went to the IEM is actually going to be in top right now with 3 wins and 0 losses, and that's the Muslim. He's been playing so good, so big shout out to him. And then of course shout out to Go. Yeah, exactly. So then I want to give a shout out to Ghost Gamers, and of course my new team Mouse, and also to Naniva for getting into Dignitas. Hope you turn out good, man.
Yep, just to give you guys a recap, if you tune out later, we actually found out just recently, just as the show started, that Nani was now with Dignitas. That said, I am Martijn, aka Mumbles. I hope you guys had a good time watching our show here today. Tune in again next week. We'll do another one. Exactly the topics, I don't quite know. You can find them on Team Liquid. Just look at the LowLandLions weekly thread, and we'll post an update in there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and hope to see you again soon.
Toodaloo.